Oscar Fortune crawled out of bed and rolled into the Huddle House parking lot in Sherrall to meet his cousin.
She told me she had been in an incident at the Green Villa in which Anthony Shields hit her in the face with a bottle. So I asked her where she was at. She told me the Huddle House.
The plan was to meet here, then go to the Sherrall Police Department to get a warrant on Anthony Shields. What was your mindset when you left to go to that Huddle House?
Just to assist her. She said she wanted to go to the police department, so she didn't feel comfortable going there alone, and she wanted me to assist her. Being the big brother, if you want to say, she's my family. I love her. You know, I'm going to assist her.
When you got to the Huddle House, so something changed.
A lot changed. There are 80 to 100 people that I don't know because I'm not from Sherrall. I'm actually from Bennettsville. That changes within itself.
Minutes later, Shields pulled up. Fortune's cousin walked over to Shields' car window, and the two started arguing.
I'm not going to sit here and say that I wasn't expecting to fight him because I'm from the South. And the way we, grow up, if a man put his hand on your sister, then you and that man have to, see each other. So that's what I was planning to do. We were going to discuss what happened and go from there.
Fortune says he got a .38 from the console, slipped it into his pocket, and walked over to Shields' car.
When I get to the car, I asked him, what's up with, hitting Sante in the face with a bottle? And he looked at me. We don't know each other. I've never seen him a day in my life. He looked at me, and then he fired a weapon. The next thing I know, I see a flash and hear a bang.
You didn't see him pull the gun up?
No, he had to already have that gun in his hand. When he fired the gun, it caught me off guard. And I remember I closed my eyes for a quick second, and when I opened my eyes and looked, Sante was on the ground. I fired back up on him because I felt like he had just shot Sante, and I know I have a right to protect myself as well as protect her. So I fired back. I chose to defend myself.
Investigators found 5 rounds in Shields' body. He died in the parking lot. The nearest sheriff's deputy was on the farthest end of the county. It took him 30 minutes to get there to secure the crime scene. While Shields lay dead on the ground, someone grabbed his pistol from the inside of his car and took off with it. When investigators got to the scene, they didn't know Shields had a gun and only found evidence of one gun fired, and the man who fired it was long gone. Were you running because you felt you'd done something wrong?
No, not at all. I was running, and now I'm gonna stop. I wasn't running. I left because I wanted to get out of that situation. And I left because I needed to gather my thoughts and digest what just happened. It's not like this is an everyday event.
The next morning, Fortune surrendered and handed over his .38 with the shell casing still inside the chamber to the Sherrall Police Department.
Damian Antoine Shields.
A department where Anthony Shields' brother worked as a police officer. Shields is now an investigator with the Chesterfield County Sheriff's Office. Fortune says he explained his self-defense story, but says with Anthony Shields' gun missing from the scene, no one believed him that Shields even had a gun on him.
And I'm 32 years old at the time, not familiar with the justice system, not familiar with, the police or anything like that. So after I told them what happened, they still charged me with murder and took me to jail.
Days later, investigators found the gun and the man who took it. But that man who took a critical piece of evidence from the crime scene was never charged.
This is the only incident that I've ever had that I've ever been in. 4 years and some months, I'm out on bond. And then March of 2006, I go to trial.
The state spent a week working to convince a jury that Oscar Fortune, with malice and aforethought, murdered Anthony Shields. Fortune took the stand and admitted he shot Shields, but that he did so in self-defense. In closing arguments, Assistant Solicitor J.R. Joyner told the jury, "My job is to show the truth. Their job is to shroud the truth. Their job is to confuse jurors. Their job is to do whatever they have to, without regard for the truth, to get a not guilty verdict. And that whatever a prosecutor believes about a defendant's guilt mattered the most. If I know the person has done something that I think the facts show they're guilty of, then I cannot dismiss it. I have to go forward with it." Those comments would later come back to haunt both J.R. Joyner and the state of South Carolina.
If I had to liken it to anything, it's almost like a unarmed gladiator walking into the Coliseum. You know it's over. You know you're not walking out of there.
Fortune was right. The jury convicted the 37-year-old of murder, and Judge John Milling sentenced him to 37 years in prison. Over the next 15 years, Oscar Fortune hit the law books and filed appeals with the state appeals court. The Attorney General's office fought to defend the conviction, and the appeals court denied Fortune's appeal.
What's his probation status?
Fortune then filed his post-conviction relief application before Judge Paul Birch. He claimed he didn't get a fair trial for two reasons. One, Solicitor J.R. Joyner committed prosecutorial misconduct in its closing argument to the jury, and that Fortune's own defense attorney failed him at trial.
He said it never crossed his mind to bring up an allegation of prosecutorial misconduct on J.R. Joyner. He's a good guy.
Do good guys not make mistakes?
You want the politically correct answer or you want the answer?
Oscar, I want the truth.
He's saying, I'm not going to make an allegation against this lawyer for you. You've been convicted, you've been sentenced, I was your lawyer, that's over with. I'm not going to put dirt on his name.
Despite Fortune's evidence, Birch denied his PCR application, finding although Joyner's comments to the jury were improper, it did not hurt Fortune's right to a fair trial.
So now you have a judge saying, I'm wrong. That will probably be enough for a man to just give up. I know that this is a violation because I've seen cases overturned for less than what this guy did, J.R. Joyner.
Eventually somebody heard you.
Right, the Supreme Court.
He had one last chance for a new trial. Fortune was 12 years into his prison sentence and continued fighting for that new trial. In January 2018, he filed a petition with the state Supreme Court, asking the court to give him one last chance to undo the appeals court and Judge Birch's denial of his appeals. There again, despite the evidence in the record, the Attorney General's office fought Oscar Fortune to uphold his conviction. 2 more years would pass. Oscar Fortune was in the prison law library when a prison staffer called him into her office.
She asked, could I see you for a minute? So I go to her office, she closes the door, and she pulls up my case. And there it was, reversed and remanded for a new trial.
The Supreme Court's ruling was unanimous and offered a rebuke of not only the Attorney General's office, but of J.R. Joyner, trial judge John Milling, and PCR judge Paul Birch. The PCR court found the remarks were improper. We find they were absolutely inexcusable, Justice John Few wrote about Birch's ruling. The court has condemned this type of misconduct, and trial judge John Milling's curative instruction actually exacerbated the assistant solicitor's misconduct. The assistant solicitor's improper statements to the jury during closing argument infected Fortune's trial with such a high degree of unfairness as to make his conviction a denial of due process. We reversed the order of the PCR court denying Fortune relief and remand to the Court of General Sessions for a new trial. The Supreme Court also found no overwhelming evidence that Fortune murdered Anthony Shields, and the state pointed to no element that Fortune was not acting in self-defense. Somehow, everyone at every step of the way missed all of this, but Fortune says he doesn't resent the man who prosecuted him.
Do you blame J.R. Joyner for your trip to the penitentiary?
I think J.R. Joyner was just one ingredient in a perfect storm. I'm going to thank J.R. Joyner for the mistake he made, because that mistake got me out of prison.
Although he was a free man, Oscar Fortune's troubles were far from over.
And Oscar Fortune keeps fighting. That was it for Anthony Shields. And it did not have to be that way.
In October 2022, the state gave Oscar Fortune that new trial he fought 16 years for. New prosecutors tried once again to convict him of murder.
There were so many other ways to address any problem. Go to the police. Walk away.
Prosecutors again told the jury what Oscar Fortune did wasn't in self-defense or anything less than murder.
So I'd ask you, when you look at all this evidence, that you come back and find Oscar Fortune guilty of murder.
After a week-long trial, the Chesterfield County jury started deliberating Oscar Fortune's fate. But just like in his 2006 trial, he couldn't get a fair trial. Less than 2 hours in,
And we have people on our jury who have considered the defendant guilty since Monday. Is this a legal issue? The juror that wrote this, and I asked him, was there a juror or jurors who did not presume the defendant to be innocent? And his words were, and correct me if I'm wrong, he said that from his own mouth, that I knew he was innocent or guilty since Monday. And that really ticks me off.
the judge declared a mistrial. That meant Oscar Fortune and the Shields family would have to do this all over again. But Fortune and the prosecutor saved everyone the trouble.
All rise.
Prosecutor John Jeppertinger was ready to deal and offered Fortune a plea deal.
Your Honor, he's pleading to the lesser offense of voluntary manslaughter, which is both a violent and most serious offense. There's a negotiated sentence, Your Honor, of 30 years, suspended to 5,456 days. He's already done the 5,456 days, Judge, and thereafter be placed on probation for 5 years.
Fortune entered an Alford plea where he maintains his innocence.
It's been your decision to plead guilty?
Yes, Your Honor.
But acknowledges the state could have enough to convict him if the state continues putting him on trial. In 2 separate trials and fights with the Attorney General's office all along the way, Oscar Fortune beat the state's murder charge. On November 17, 2022, Oscar James Fortune walked out of court a free man. His probation ends in 2027.
I will tell Robert to answer your emails.
No, I mean to schedule an interview with me.
Well, I'm not the attorney of record.
Yeah, but you're the AG. What does the AG think about Oscar Fortune's trial? Well, we don't know. He wouldn't talk to us about it.
I'm not running from you. I got to go somewhere else, but I'm happy to answer your emails.
Okay. Thank you for watching Objection, a Queen City News investigation.